The two teams will line up. The Warrington Wolves have got Hicks continuing at fullback. Then it's Riley, Gleeson, King and Penny, Breers and Monaghan. The forwards, Morley, Clark, Rauhihi, Louis Anderson, Westwood and Vinnie Anderson. And the bench, it's Mark Gleeson, Grix, Braycheck and Harrison. The coach is Paul Cullen. Now, a big blow for Castleford late on. Brent Sherwin ruled out at scrum half, so Luke Dawn moves to cover him. This is the way that they will play. Donlan at fullback, Fletcher, Shenton, Owen and Wainwright, McGoldrick and Dawn. Forwards, Caddick, Moore and Hubie, Guttenbeil, Lupton and Westerman. And the bench, it's occupied by Henderson, Korkidas, Higgins and Boyle. The coach is Terry Matteson. Well, the Tigers travel to Warrington seeking their first win on this ground and their first away win in Super League, in actual fact, for 2 years. They've lost 5 in a row in the League and Cup. A further defeat here would be their 90th reverse from 139 away games. No sympathy, though, for Warrington's plight in the Tigers camp. Terry Matteson has the smallest squad in Super League, and they've had to strengthen as they have gone along this season. And of course, with no Brent Sherwin, that is a big blow to the Tigers. Well, Warrington beat Castleford at the Jungle over Easter 34-31, but they've won just 2 of 8 since. This is their first home game in a month since they were beaten by St Helens on April the 25th. So they've not won a home game for over 2 months. 21st of March, Good Friday, they beat Huddersfield here by 30 points to 14. But their loyal supporters roll up every time they come to the Halliwell Jones Stadium, and they are hoping that tonight is the night that they get back into the top 6. It's a big night, Steve-O, for Warrington. It's a big night also for Castleford. They need to make up a bit of ground on the teams immediately above them at the foot of the table.
It's all a matter of pride as far as the Castleford Tigers are concerned. The coach Terry Matteson is fully aware that they don't have the depth of some of the other Super League clubs, but they do have 2 scalps, none better than Leeds and St Helens. So if they hit top gear, they can play some tremendous and attractive rugby league football. Whether they can do that without the prompting and the scheming from Brent Sherwin, who's failed a fitness test just before this game, it's going to be very difficult. But Luke Dawn has been around. Can he keep control of the halfback Michael Monaghan? That'll be interesting to see.
It's Ryan McGoldrick who will get this game underway, and the ball bouncing its way to Lee Breers, and here is the captain Adrian Morley. There's the first collision of this final match of round 15 of the Engage Super League. Warrington 7 wins, 7 defeats from 14 rounds. Their supporters expected more from an expensively assembled squad. Injuries have again played their part, but Paul Cullen refuses to use that as an excuse. And Westwood drives it forward, and Lupton and Guttenbeil managed to deal with that particular threat. This now, Vinnie Anderson.
Well, to be fair to Warrington, they've also got a few problems out there. There's Michael Monaghan. There was a little bit of a doubt about whether he would be playing tonight, and the same goes for Ben Westwood. So it isn't as though either side are 100% at the moment, but the opening 10 minutes, it's going to be so important, Barry.
Absolutely, the meeting of the 2 packs in the forwards. I'm a big believer, forwards decide who wins the matches and the backs decide by how many, so there's a lot on. And we talk about injuries with this Warrington side every week, but one thing that will cause the crowd some concern is the injury to Wolfie. Even he's unfit, even he can't take part today.
That's right, Wolfie not too well from all accounts, so isn't here this evening, the club mascot. We wish him all the very best at the Vets. That's a good ball wide from McGoldrick. This is Michael Shenton. Michael Shenton gets the ball wide, and it's Fletcher, and he is collared by Kevin Penny.
Beautiful play by Shenton.
Last tackle here, McGoldrick. They go back down that side again. It's Shenton for Castleford. He's not tackled, he got the ball away, and Chris Hicks was in the right position at the right time for Warrington. There is a warning for the Warrington Wolves.
And fully deserved a try as well. Tremendous play through the little shimmy. Shenton joined in again. He took a huge gamble there, Chris Hicks. He just positioned himself within 2 of the Tigers players. A lob pass, and they were in a lot of trouble. That should shake them, but it'll lift the Tigers.
Well, some of the newspapers this morning linking Michael Shenton as a possible replacement for the departing Shontaine Harpy from the Bradford Bulls. He's going to rugby union at the end of June. And obviously Steve McNamara and the Bulls will be looking for a top quality replacement, and Shenton's name has been mentioned. Although Castleford will tell you they're in the business of building a team and not breaking this one up. High kick from Breers. It's picked up by Donlan, and Donlan is tackled on the halfway line. This now is Michael Wainwright, the Tigers winger. That's a big hit on him by Anderson. Drive forward here from Craig Hubie. There's Terry Mattison. Wants the win. Desperate for the win, he said. That's Scott Moore. Warrington fans holding their breath every time this ball is funneled down the right-hand side. And it's Donlan again who has chimed into the line. Moore to McGoldrick. Here is Guttenbeil. And Guttenbeil trying to go round Vinnie Anderson. Michael Monaghan is there, so is Rahihi. In the end, they get him down. That's the last tackle for Castleford. They're 15 metres away from the Warrington line. And the kick will come out wide here. And that is a great take. And I think a try here. I think it's Lupton who's on the end of it. It is. And the referee is going to have to check, or the video referee is going to have to check, first of all, whether he's dropped it.
He's lost it.
Which he has.
That's a shame. Great kick there, but Warrington, they're asleep. You'd think if they were the visiting side, this is their home ground, and they're being put to the test by the Tigers. You can see Lupton has lost control, and as soon as it makes contact with Hicks, that's classified as a knock-on. So there's been no try. Here you see he takes it cleanly and loses control. As soon as it hits the fullback's leg.
Just checking where he's lost control. I think it's behind the try line, so
should be a tap on the 20.
It's been a brilliant start, and no try handover, of course, you see here. Brilliant start from Castleford.
Wasn't that on the last tackle?
On the cross. The handover.
I think that was on the last tackle.
So that's why the handover now.
Oh, he's ruled it was in the field of play. He's ruled the knock-on was made in the field of play, not over the try line. It looked for all the world to me as though that was over the try line, but still the video referee Ben Thaler decided, and he's the man who's important, and that's wonderful defence from the Castleford Tigers. They're up for this.
There's only one side in it at the moment. Okay, there's only 4 minutes gone, but they are showing that they are not going to be pushovers tonight. This is poor play. Castleford, the first to really make any impression. Beautiful ball out wide there, back on the inside. They couldn't get there. King out of position, didn't have the pace either. Good job that Kevin Penny came very late indeed. They're looking very shaky at the Wolves.
So it's Castleford head and field. McGoldrick gets the ball. They go down the short side again with Shenton, who looks absolutely full of it at the moment. Louis Anderson with the tackle. There is the winger Fletcher. McGoldrick again. This now is Hubie. And Warrington having to muscle up in defence yet another time in the opening 5 minutes. They're 10 metres away, the Tigers, with Owen Guttenbeil. Back it comes to Dawn. Good ball then to Donlan. He was missed by Wiley. And there's the first try. And the first try is from Richard Owen, the youngster who was only on the bench tonight before we heard that Brent Sherwin was out injured, and Richard Owen over for the try. He came into the side in the centres. Ryan McGoldrick moved forward. Luke Dawn moved to scrum half, and this young man Richard Owen, he has come up with a fantastic try and a great start for the Tigers.
Shocking defence, take nothing away though from the Tigers' attacking ability. They used a dummy runner on 2 occasions. Oh, that was poor play. Very poor defence, but full credit to utilise it. Come out of the line, and it was always going to be easy for Richard Owen. What a tremendous effort. Beautiful play. And again, we've seen this Warrington defence just all at sea. Some come out of the position, they just don't seem to talk to each other.
Well, Richard Owen, the 18-year-old, has scored the first try of the night, his third of the campaign. And now can the outstanding young Joe Westerman make it an 18-year-old double act here. And no, he can't. It just drifted away from the post. But a great start for Castleford, and not in the script this for Paul Cullen.
Look how they utilise a dummy runner. You can see there that Martin Gleeson is in two minds. He doesn't know where the ball's going. They've come right out of the line. That was shocking play by the winger.
Stay behind, John.
I don't think Lee Breers helped him very much there, Steve, did he? Once he'd gone up and in front of his supporting players, it put the winger under massive pressure then, really. Right, defending and going for interceptions at near on line, well, we have different views on it. Sometimes it can come off, but more often than not, it causes problems for you and your teammates. And just talking about how talented Joe Westerman is, I happen to think, Eddie, that Richard Owen has as much talent, if possibly even more. We haven't seen quite as much of him so far on Sky Sports. He's played out wide on the wing last year in National League and on the wing for them in Super League so far this year. But he's an amazingly quick, tough and naturally gifted rugby league player.
Lupton, who had the try disallowed by the video referee, but it didn't stop Castleford from coming forward, and here they come again with more, but that's the last one. They're still just inside their own half, and Dawn will doubtless put the kick in, which he does, looking for the sideline here, but that will stand in the in-goal area. No, it won't. Well, Chris Hicks took a gamble.
Did he ever? Just got an awkward bounce there. And Luke Dawn is up for it as well. And you've got to say that the way that Castleford are playing in the opening 8 minutes reminds me of the night when they took Leeds apart. Okay, Leeds had played the previous week for the World Club Challenge, but I must say they're using the same tactics, dummy runners, working for each other, and splitting this Warrington outfit out wide.
8 minutes gone, let's go down to Bill on the side.
Eddie, you mentioned Brent Sherwin's late withdrawal. The other problem that the Tigers have had to contend with in the build-up to this game is Matt Cook being recalled by the Bradford Bulls, and that happened on Saturday apparently after Semi Tajulala was injured in their game against Leeds, and they've got injury problems as well at the Bulls, so they called him back. And Cook was actually in the squad and may well have played this evening for the Castleford Tigers. I have to say, there's a real anxiety in the air here at the Halliwell Jones among the Warrington supporters. There were groans when Castleford went in for that try, and even one or two boos. It really is a very fragile mood at the moment.
Last tackle here for Warrington, still deep inside their own half, and Breers will hump the ball downfield, try to get it over the head of Donlan, but can't. And Donlan will run the ball back up the middle. Well, there is Paul Cullen, the Warrington coach, looking anxiously on from his eyrie over on the far side of this field. And, well, there are many people who believe he's under just a little bit of pressure at the moment.
I wouldn't say little, Eddie. I'd say heavy pressure. They've given him plenty of time, and a lot of the fans here, my mind goes back to the Millennium Weekend. Remember the first half against Huddersfield, the Wolvie fans were going absolutely ballistic over the fact that they were playing shocking. They got it home in the end. It needed a great effort in the second half. It's going to need a good lift of from the Warrington side now. They've got to work hard.
Paul Cullen, the longest serving coach in Super League, and his team here under pressure, but that's a great chase down on the kicker from Louis Anderson, and Kevin Penny has come up with the ball. Referee says he's stolen it, 2-on-1. He's going to be brought back. It's going to be a penalty here to Castleford.
Well, it was on the last. He didn't have to do that. Confusion on the face of Paul Cullen. He was under a lot of pressure, couldn't get the kick away well, Luke Dawn, and now they've conceded a penalty when they really didn't need one.
Ian Smith was absolutely convinced that the decision was right. It's 2-on-1, you notice.
Yep. Did he lose it, or was it taken?
I think he just surrendered the ball on the first look.
No.
He's trying to nick it, aren't they?
But why on earth did he have to do that? They had Fletcher going over the whitewash. That would have given them the turnover. It was on the last.
Michael, hold, go.
So first penalty, and that's why Castleford camped in Warrington territory once again. Here is Hubie once more for the Tigers. Scott Moore at dummy half, and it's with Luke Dawn, and they're flooding down this side. This is Donlan, and Breer's got to him that time.
3, 4, 6.
That's the third tackle this set of 6, but they're very close again to the Warrington line. That was Richard Owen. Here now is Dawn. He pops it up for Gutenbiel, who hits it at pace. Gutenbiel can't get the ball away. Back where they started, just a couple of metres from the line. Scott Moore again. Good ball to Dawn. Dawn going inside. And good job that Chris Hicks was there, because Louis Anderson was stood up then by the run from Luke Dawn. The post lookers are about to fall down, and Scott Moore goes for glory.
That was on the last
turnover.
They went for the power play, nearly got away with it, Scott Moore. But Warrington, that's got to be a penalty. They're miles offside, not even standing square, well in front, and they were very happy about that. You know, I made a point a couple of weeks ago that Warrington's defence, for some unknown reason, 1 week they go move it all as a unit to put pressure on the attacking side, and what we've seen tonight already is that they're just hanging back, waiting to see what the opposition are going to throw at them. That's a dangerous ploy.
Monaghan restarts, he finds Clark. Here is Morley.
Well, can Warrington get into the Castleford red zone attacking?
This is Vinnie Anderson. Vinnie Anderson drops the ball, it went backwards, and John Clark is tackled by Scott Moore. They look very vigorous, the Tigers, I must say. This is Westwood, hunted down by Hubie again, and Gutenbiel was there. So too was Peter Lupton. Clark to Breers, showed it, held on, down he goes in the tackle. That's tackle number 4.
You're right, Eddie. You know, this Tiger outfit, they are eager. Warrington, far from it.
It's Morley and Monaghan. They fire it wide to Matt King. Fletcher couldn't hold Matt King. There were reinforcements there in the shape of Westerman and McGoldrick. This is the last tackle. Dab over the top from Monaghan. That's a good kick. Wainwright.
Good tackle by Chris Riley, it had to be as well. That was a much better kick there from Michael Monaghan, who's yet to stamp any authority on this game. So was his half-back partner Lee Breers, but to be fair, this is the first opportunity that they've been able to pressurise the Tigers.
It's Scott Moore again, all back on the inside, and that was Ned Cattick. Cattick to McGoldrick. McGoldrick then finds Shenton, who looks absolutely full of it early.
Well done, mate.
Moore again. Decides to take them on himself, and Louis Anderson effects the tackle eventually.
Look at
Last
that
one.
Look at that defence again. Hanging back. There wasn't one person went forward then.
Booming kick from Luke Dawn, which will skip away on this ground and run dead in goal.
In the middle, Joe.
You know, it's nothing unusual for Castleford to start well. In the opening 30 minutes last week against Bradford, they were probably the better side, and they drifted away towards the end, and Bradford got a convincing victory. But they need, of course, to try and maintain that, and I think although they've had some opportunities to score, if they get some further ones, it's important to get across the line, because it's undoubted that the Wolves will score some points as the game progresses.
The last win was a 30 points to 24 home victory against St Helens on April the 6th. Their last away win in Super League, 30-24 at Wigan, 5th of May 2006. It was live on Sky Television. Is there a coincidence there?
I wonder whether they learned anything from those mistakes last week, Phil. Terry Matheson said his side didn't know how to dig in. They'd got out in front, they weren't used to being in that position, and they blew it. I wonder whether they've learned their lessons.
Referee not happy with the pressure of the ball. Now we've got 3 on the field. Lee Breers clears 1, and Vinnie Anderson will clear the other.
Well, there was 3. Are you sure he got the right one?
Certainly got the one that came on from this side, the new ball.
Well, we'll see if it'll change the complexion of this game, because it's a Tigers in control at the moment.
They didn't have any ball then. Now they have. Here is Westwood.
That could be a new game, that. Rugby league with 3 balls.
Spot the ball. Been around a while. But this is Breers. Monaghan. It was dropped and pushed back. Do they get away with that? No, they don't. Oh, they do.
Offside.
It's
He played
offside
the
against
advantage.
Castleford.
10 metres, this side. All of you, all of you.
We're a bit concerned about that.
Go away. Offside.
Pump it into the corner with Breers, or, well, again, indecision. They'll take the tap.
And Rauhi, he will drive it forward for Warrington.
Oh, that looked very close to a forward pass. Very lacklustre at the moment, the Warrington.
John Clark finds Monaghan. Monaghan to Breers. Breers going over the top to Riley. And can Riley get over? No, he can't. That's wonderful defence. Wainwright led the charge with Luke Dawn. And Chris Riley was bundled into touch very early in the tackle count. Great defence from Tigers.
Good combination there. Dawn, Owen. He's up for it.
Formerly with Salford last year, and he got a try in 3 of the 4 matches that Salford played against the Warrington Wolves last year, Luke Dawn.
The one thing about Dawn you'll always get, if you give him the responsibility of controlling the game, and of course, if Brent Sherwin would have been playing tonight, then he would have had that responsibility. And I sometimes think that it forces Dawn into playing a much better game.
Scott Moore. Grounded by 3 on the 3rd. Warrington crowd very quiet at the moment while Castleford have ball in hand. They're almost holding their breath, and that's the reason why. And here goes Stuart Donlan.
Let's tiptoe through the tulips. It's patter cake defence from Warrington yet again.
Dawn will come the short side. Guttenbeil trying to take on Westwood. It takes 4 to get the big Kiwi down. That's the last tackle. They're 20 metres away from the Warrington line. That was Lupton. This is Dawn. That look forward. And it's still on here for McGoldrick. It's Westerman. Westerman gets the ball away, and it's Shenton. And Shenton scores. They can't go to the video referee for forward passes. Shenton has scored for Castleford, and Warrington are in trouble. There looked as though there was a forward pass possibility in the build-up to that, but Shenton wasn't hanging round for a board meeting, and Castleford lead by 8 points to 0.
And fully deserved. They're taking full advantage of this woeful attempt in defence by the Warrington outfit. I mentioned the fact that some go up, others hang back. Look at that. Come on the angles, that's all right. Nothing wrong with that at all. Westerman did ever so well. Get the numbers through. He went low. Shenton, try. This is okay. Flips it there. Goes back. Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. What an offload there from Donlan. Great stuff from Westerman as well. It wasn't intentional, but it doesn't matter. You test your luck. They have the numbers. Shenton says, you ain't going to stop me.
Westerman to try and add the extras for Castleford, and he does. And Castleford are 10-0 up at Warrington.
Well, the boos are ringing from the partisan crowd underneath us here, underneath the gantry. And it's not aimed at the man with the whistle on this occasion, Ian Smith.
Glum faces all around the ground. A 10-0 lead for the Castleford Tigers. Clark and
Very high.
Westwood were too high.
There is a swirling wind out there, but again, I go back to the point about kick-off restarts, Eddie. That only got to the 20-metre line. They've then conceded a penalty over that, and already now Castleford, on the first tackle coming away, having scored a try, are inside their opponent's half of the field. You know, the Tigers scored 30 points when they played Catalan Dragons down in the south of France. Unfortunately, they lost that game, but they can score points away from home.
Yes, they can.
They're an attractive, so has lost that. Always give him a penalty.
Well, Liam Higgins appealed to the referee that the ball had been stolen from him on the ground, and Ian Smith agrees.
I'm not so sure, but it doesn't matter. Westwood had his left arm underneath.
I think it's Rowie who stripped that. I think that's a good call from Ian Smith, that.
Well, they're in a big hole. Can they sort out this defensive pattern, which, to be fair, is not pretty and is not effective?
QB to Moore. Here they come again. Good work from Richard Owen. This is Guttenbeil. Here is Luke Dawn. Good movement from Castleford. McGoldrick. Short ball. No, hangs on. Thought better of it.
Hold, go.
It's Dawn. To Guttenbeil on the charge. Straight at Clark and Westwood. Down he goes, tackle number 4, but look how close they are. Always danger in the air when Castleford are this close. And it's a knock-on by Guttenbeil.
Oh, he's furious as well because he knows how important it is, and so is the coach, Terry Mattison. Because he knows that this Warrington outfit, they're just not shaking themselves about. He lost it.
You wrap your arms around him by.
Clark appeals to the official Ian Smith. He gets the nod.
Out.
Look at that. Silly play from John Clark. It's all about frustration, and he is one frustrated man.
He said that they would have to watch their discipline. That's the most important thing for Warrington. And they have conceded 3 penalties. They've received 3 penalties so far.
Well, you may say it's the most important thing, Eddie. I think if you ask Paul Cullen at the moment now, you'd have to say that it's basically their defence. It's woeful. There's no other word for it. Breers has taken it quick.
He has quick tap and Gleeson. It's a long furrow for Gleeson, out the back door to John Clark. Here is Vinnie Anderson.
Could have been a flop there by Craig Hubie. Got away with it.
Monaghan, wide to Louis Anderson. Here is Matt King.
Turn 10 metres. Hold, go.
It's with Rauhihi. Westerman there, Higgins is there. Down goes the New Zealander. And an entanglement of legs as Clark scampers away, finds Adrian Morley. Clark again. Here is Breers. Breers a little dummy. Last tackle here.
Both feet.
Just short of the line.
Go. Play on.
That's a knock on.
You've lost it.
It's a knock on by Castleford. I think Warrington are fortunate.
They most certainly are. Bit of a mess there. Peter Lupton thought he had the opportunity. Wasn't the best play of the ball. And again, this rule where they have their feet, supposedly both behind the line, is completely ignored. How many do you want to pick? I'll leave it up to you.
Well, it's a decision that went Warrington's way for the knock-on. Here is Monaghan, work for the Tigers' defence to do. As Clark waits at dummy half. And finds Vinnie Anderson, who brushes off a couple. And Vinnie Anderson gets over for a try that Warrington would have mortgaged this ground for. Vinnie Anderson. Versatility from Vinnie Anderson this year has been priceless for Paul Cullen. Well, that try from Vinnie Anderson, his 6th of the campaign, is priceless tonight for his coach. Warrington are back in a match that was in danger of slipping away from them.
Certainly was. They just had the rub of the green, and sometimes you need that. Here's a mix-up that created. Lupton did get a fingertip to it, and from the scrum base and the win, they pull themselves to the good position. It's a nice step. What a fend. Scott Moore, get out of the way. And as you're so right, Eddie, Paul Cullen will be desperate for a try like this, but the way that Vinnie Anderson just fended off the hooker Scott Moore, he enjoyed it. I'm not so sure Mr. Moore would have.
Chris Hicks then, over 500 career points in an 11-year career on both sides of the world. He's got 17 goals so far this season. And he kicked 3 against the Tigers on Easter Monday, and he's kicked the first one here tonight. And Warrington now trail still, but it's 6-10.
Boy, if ever a try was needed in the Warrington colours, it was certainly the one from Vinnie Anderson, because they were really on the cosh. The Tigers were just running them ragged. Sometimes it needs a bit of fortune, and certainly it was when the fact that Lupton knocked on, it was virtually on the last tackle.
Vinnie Anderson's grip on that rugby league ball was outstanding. He made sure that if he was going to get caught 2 or 3 yards short, he had his thumb round the ball and he'd be able to outstretch the arm and still have control of the ball.
Wait, wait.
Is that the spark that Warrington were looking for? Here is Ben Harrison, straight at Westerman and McGoldrick.
It's important that they strike again.
This is Andy Braycheck.
Hands out.
Try at Wigan last week for Braycheck, a £22,500 signing from St Helens, and a little break here from the try scorer. He will play the ball to Clark, who'll find Monaghan, who'll find Breers, and Breers, Riley wanted the kick to the open space, it bounces for Riley, but that's great cover defence, is it? No, a try for Riley. Luke Dawn seemed to have read it well, but Riley managed to extricate himself from Luke Dawn's grip, and it's all square. Steve-O said that Warrington needed another in quick succession, and Chris Riley has just come up with it, his first try of 2008. And what a timely intervention in this match for Riley. 2 tries in 3 minutes.
Wonderful kick by Lee Breers. There was nowhere for him to go, so he dinks it right into the corner, and Chris Riley has gone from 0 to hero. He was responsible for allowing Richard Owen in for that try that got Castleford off to a flying start. And zip into the corner. That's a tremendous rubber kick through. Good positioning. As you say, Dawn should have had him. Let him go. Good finish. Not the biggest lad on the field of play is Mr. Riley, but he's taken his opportunity well. And the crowd, they've found their voice at long last.
Well, he missed last week at Wigan. It was first absence in 7 matches for him. 10 appearances last year and 3 tries. And, well, can Chris Hicks just nudge Warrington ahead here with this kick? And the answer, no. But Paul Cullen will say to his players now, it's 10-all, let's start again.
10 metres.
When you've got a good kicker like Lee Breers, look at that. You can't see a Castleford player. They got there in numbers, especially with Dawn. Should have had him. Nice finish.
Stay behind, fellas.
Riley's try, Breers kick, try. Westwood's underneath the kick-off.
Hold. Go.
Clark. Ball inside to Martin Gleeson.
10 metres, Cass. Wait. Go.
Did well to hang on to it. It just bobbled a little bit there.
Here's
from
Adrian
Gleeson.
Morley.
Well, Morley's been in fine form. Oh, that's dangerous. That should, you see, tackles like that, they're just as dangerous as a head-eye. When they've finished them, it's like the chicken wing tackle that has been tried to be banned down in Australia. I think when they start bending a man over and his legs are underneath it, that's very dangerous. The Rugby Football League should start looking at that.
Adrian Morley was a doubt with a leg injury before the match. And he's limping a bit now after that. There's the kick from Breers, isn't the best. And Donlan will run it back. Almost got through them as well, but Westwood got the tackle in. Injury news for Warrington, Bill.
Louis Anderson has left the field, replaced by Andy Braycheck a few moments ago, and he has been straight to the dressing room, had his right arm heavily strapped. It was strapped to start with, but there's even more strapping on it now, and there's obviously some problem. There was a problem there before the game started, but seems to have suffered a recurrence of it.
There is Louis Anderson, and as Bill said, that arm is heavily strapped, isn't it?
It's that time of the season, Eddie. There's been some rough and tough games throughout already. Very rare you'll find any of these players out there that's 100%.
This is Hubie. He turned 22 last Wednesday, Craig Hubie.
Bit of composure now is needed from the Tigers. Just camp down there and just...
Luke Dawn. Swooped on by Vinnie Anderson.
took his eyes off the football. Did Luke Dawn. There was a gap there, and he's got to give it. Well, this will not be pleasing Terry Matters in the first 15 minutes. The Tigers were all over, they were controlling the game, but see how he just had a little look, could see Anderson coming towards him.
So often when we've seen Castleford this year, they have shown what they can do in short bursts. I know that they got the win against Leeds when we saw them at the Jungle. And they're a dangerous side when they're on the front foot, aren't they?
Well, quality out there.
Matt King.
Trouble is, the game lasts for 80 minutes. They're keeping this fella quiet, aren't they? Matt King, who...
well, sadly, everyone in the Super League is keeping Matt King quiet this year, I'm afraid.
Well, I think that knock that he got against Wigan, was it Richie Mathers, that certainly made an impact. Oh, that's a shocker. Forward pass, knock on, call it whatever you want. I don't think he's been the same. I don't think he's been the same since he got walloped.
No, he would tell you probably otherwise, and there's been a lot of talk about this young man and the way that he has failed to settle. And Ben Westwood's not so clever either. Look, there are obvious concerns about him.
I think most overseas players take a while to settle. It's a difficult thing for them to readjust to, the lifestyle, and of course the weather. They keep mentioning the weather, the Australian players, but let's give him a chance, lads. He's a world-class player, and I think, given time, he'd be a great player for this club.
Halfway through the season, Baz.
It might take him a season. Obviously, that's not what the Warrington club want to hear, but it might take him a full year.
It may do.
I think of Scott Donald at Leeds, his first season I thought he really struggled, but he's been probably the best player for the last two.
Dawn gives it width and finds McGoldrick. McGoldrick then back to Donlan. Good jinking run from Donlan, halted by the tackle from Vinnie Anderson and Morley. And Andrew Henderson's on, he's a danger. McGoldrick short ball to Westerman.
You know, the Westerman-Shenton combination out there on that right-hand side. It's real talent. Look at this Warrington defence hanging back. Korkidas nearly had a clear run to the line.
Tackle comes in though, it's the last. And it's McGoldrick again. And they go wide, and that's off the fingertips and into the arms of Kevin Penny. And it's the turnover, rules the referee Ian Smith. There's a knock on and no advantage to Warrington.
Yeah, good decision by the referee Ian Smith.
And now Castleford all offside, too quick out of the blocks at the play the ball. Well, Warrington and Paul Cullen reflect on their own.
Breers has taken a tap and he's on his own.
A good run back from Donlan, but a great run from Breers. I was just going to say that Warrington reflect on their indiscipline. I'm sure Terry Matheson will be doing the same about Castleford. This is Chris Hicks now.
That was extremely brainy by the standoff Lee Breers. He could see the Tigers at their backs to Warrington.
Monaghan gets the ball away to Gleeson. Gleeson could not take the pass in.
Great effort by Monaghan. First time we've seen him come into the game. Nice little step, got halfway through. Option was good. Gleeson couldn't get it. What's the tap here? Look at Castleford. That's schoolboy stuff. Every single player had their back to the Warrington side. Terry Matheson will be furious over that, and he's every right to be.
That's what you get with Lee Breers in your team. He's always looking, he's always thinking outside the box, and there's an old saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and Lee Breers tries really hard.
And grapple tackle against Simon Grix. Was round the throat, no question of that. McGoldrick looked at the referee with a very pained expression on his face, and no wonder.
Discipline, Warrington, discipline. Come on, wait.
And the penalty count's rising, 6 apiece.
Wait. Go.
Henderson restarts. Korkidas. Korkidas was the captain of the Greek team once that played Malta in Sydney. That was way back in 2005. Paul Cullen's come down from his lofty perch. Good hit on Guttenbeil, that was by Ben Harrison, but Guttenbeil up to the challenge, look, dragging 3 men forward. Henderson at dummy half with the headgear. Harrison and Westwood dealing with the threat on tackle number 4.
A bit of a problem as well for Harrison. He got a bit of a knock in the throat. But at least he's added a lot more spice, and he's down again.
Henderson to Dawn. That's off the legs of Braychek.
A knock on by Alan Guttenbeil.
And it's a knock on by Guttenbeil, says the referee. There's another Warrington man down.
I think you'll find it's Ben Harrison. He got a knock in the throat earlier.
Wait, no you're not. Calm down. My decision.
Well, he did 3 tackles on the trot. And by the time he got to the 3rd one, I think he was exhausted and just got caught in the sandwich in the tackle.
So Ben Harrison comes off and big Paul Rahihi comes on.
Out.
And this now is Matt King again.
10 metres net.
Tackled round the legs by Westerman, finished off by Guttenbeil. And Castleford offside again.
Well, he's got to bring the 2 skippers together. This is becoming a little bit monotonous. No one taking any notice of the man with the whistle.
I think he looked onside there with the ball. Katic can move forward in front of the referee when the ball touches his foot, can't he?
I think you're right, Phil, on that replay.
And Katic has returned to Super League, the former Wakefield man, of course. He was playing in France until Terry Matheson persuaded him to come across the channel and back to the Engage Super League. They're just trying to slow Warrington down in the play of the ball, and there was a lack of communication there. And Castleford have got the ball back. Breers threw that to somebody who was not there, the invisible man. Here is Richard Owen. Great check.
And so lackadaisical, Eddie, in the fact that, Breers knew what he wanted to do, but just was a poor pass in the end.
Andrew Henderson at dummy half, the Scottish international, will find Owen Guttenbeil. Misses out Korkidas, gives it to McGoldrick. Here is Westerman, always a threat, Joe Westerman! And Westerman is clawed to the ground. Matt King was there, Vinnie Anderson there as well. Quick play the ball, Katic to McGoldrick. Here's Shenton again. Good ball, good try, Fletcher. Good hands from Castleford. The Tigers back in front. Their supporters delighted. Adam Fletcher likewise. He was at Castleford in 2006, this fellow, then he left, but he returned for this year. He got a try on the night that Wakefield stayed up and Castleford were relegated in 2006, and he's come up with another try here.
Certainly has. Poor play, very poor play. Wanted Gleeson to come into the inside. Very, very slack indeed. But what about the build-up? Westerman got them in the position, and then the Shenton pass to Fletcher. It stunned this crowd yet again. And the Tigers' ability to keep it alive, superb. You can see there, now Kevin Penny went in to Shenton, 2-on-1, and left it open for Fletcher. Fully deserved as well. Playing very attractive attacking football at the Tigers. And the head is down for Paul Cullen.
Well, he'll be desperate to get to his players, so will Terry Matheson, and I bet the word that both of the coaches will use will be discipline. We've had 13 penalties in the first half, and this is a difficult kick for Westerman, 39 metres away and only 5 degrees to aim at. But Westerman is a great kicker for a young man. Not on that occasion. Annoyed with himself, Joe Westerman. A new 4-year deal signed last week to the delight of the Castleford Tigers club for Joe Westerman. But Fletcher's try, 14-10, the Tigers lead.
Beautiful play yet again, the centre play for Michael Shenton, but as I mentioned, the ability for Joe Westerman, who runs on down that right-hand centre alongside Shenton. It's a powerful ploy that their coach Terry Matheson utilises, and it really has put a lot of pressure on Warrington. That's the reason why they're 4 points adrift at half-time.
Here's Katic again. This will probably be the last tackle of this first half, and it is. Well, they're not happy, the natives are restless. And the Warrington fans showing their disapproval. Warrington ahead, or rather Castleford Tigers ahead 14-10. Warrington have never been ahead in this match. They were 10-0 down, got back to 10 apiece, and then Fletcher's try just before the half-time siren gives the Castleford Tigers an unlikely half-time lead against